This is Talk with Audrey. Welcome back. Joining me, the mayor of Vallejo, Bob Sampayan, and we're going to talk today about what's going on in the city, as we did the last time. Welcome, Mayor.
Well, thank you, Audrey. It's great to be back. A lot of information I want to share with your viewers. So I'm excited to hopefully answer all your questions.
And yes, as you did last time, and thank you so very much. You provided some great information. Let me start out, Mr. Mayor, with the stay-at-home order.
Okay. Well, wow. You know, it's I know it's difficult, and I know it's difficult for members of any community to stay home. You know, as much as we like being home, we also like being out. We also like going out to see things, do things. We're a mobile society, and when we are all but quarantined to our homes, it makes it pretty difficult. My wife and I love to go to the coast, and we had thought the other day, hey, let's hop in the car and just take a drive out to the coast, and we'll come right back. Well, the coast is closed. So that being said, we sat in the backyard and just enjoyed the day that way. Um, what I'm seeing is that a lot of our residents are abiding by it, but then there are a few that aren't. There's still the social gatherings that I see in some of our parks. There are folks that are out and about. The thing that gets me are the sideshows that have been happening around the Bay Area. And unfortunately, we've had a couple of those in Vallejo, and that attracts several hundred people. Not only does that jeopardize public health, but it's a dangerous activity. So we are seeing folks coming and going, but for the most part, in my neighborhood in particular, people are hanging out at home, which is a good thing.
So you mentioned the sideshows. I actually saw on another Vallejo site one of those
Oh,
sideshows.
oh my.
Yeah, and it struck me that people are willing to basically put their lives on the line to have a good time. And this COVID-19 coronavirus, whatever it is you want to call it, is easily transmitted in crowds. And I think I don't understand why people don't understand that every single time they gather in groups, that there's a risk that they might get sick and that they in turn might make someone else sick.
I would agree with that, Audrey. It really bothers me because some folks have the attitude that it'll happen to the other person and it won't happen to me. And there's this feeling with, and I don't want to target the younger generation, but there is this feeling that, hey, we can go out and still have a good time. No, I'm not going to get sick. Look what happened um, during Easter break on the East Coast in Florida, where a lot of those young people got together and they partied like they normally do every year. And how many of them got sick and how many of them died? So the bottom line is there's a reason that we're asking people to stay home. There's a reason for social distancing. There's a reason for wearing the masks. And until this pandemic curve starts to flatten out, I've got to say to folks, please follow the orders.
And not to mention that those same young people left the Florida beaches and went home to their families,
Oh
who
yeah.
might have included someone who was elderly or someone who, was at greater risk for contacting COVID. And so you have to think beyond yourself. I think that's the message that we all have to somehow drill into our heads. It's inconvenient now, but I saw on Facebook 6 feet apart is better than 6 feet under.
I saw that
Did you see
same
that?
one, and I can't agree more. And it is it to me it's very selfish in that a person decides, no, I'm going to go out and do whatever it is I want to go do, and heck with everybody else. Because you're right, they go home to their families, they go home to their roommates, they go home to somebody, and if they just happen to be a carrier, guess what? They're going to spread it.
Indeed, indeed. So we're cautioning everyone again, please
Yes,
honor that stay-at-home order.
absolutely.
It is not just for you, but it's for everyone else that you
Everyone.
come in contact with, that you potentially put someone else's life at
You're
risk.
absolutely correct.
So, Mr. Mayor, I was poking around on the website, on your website.
Okay,
Can we talk about some of the information that you have available there?
absolutely. Sure. We have a lot of information on the city website. Everything from what is open, and I want to touch on that in just a quick moment, but we talk about the statistics. We're talking about the stay-at-home orders. We talk about what's essential and not essential. Um, we we provide encouragement to our public, but there's also information about businesses and how our businesses can work to solicit the government funding that I hope will come about with HR, I believe it's 6467, the new stimulus bill that's in the House. You know, there's so much there. There's so much there. They're talking about testing. They're talking about um, what is open in terms of public facilities, how you can get things done if you have city business. City Hall may be physically closed, but we are still conducting the business of the city every day. We still have work to do. We still have to be able to look at building plans. We still have to have folks paying their bills. You know, there's still things that have to happen. We have to pay our employees. So all this is open, and our residents need to know what's going on. So there are resources available on our city website, and I encourage folks to go because there's a lot of reference material on there. One thing I really want to plug is that we have established a hotline for CV-19, and it's 707 648 8605. 707 648 8605. And what that number will get you will be things like, do you have, excuse me, a person who lives in your neighborhood that might need a wellness check, that might need groceries brought to them, might need just a friendly ear? That number will get you to those people. So those community resources are available. We're also working on getting our unsheltered population taken care of. That is
Wonderful.
huge to me. Our point in time count takes us up to right around 650, and that's a lot of unsheltered individuals. And they are some of the most vulnerable to CV-19. We have, we're putting together programs now to be, in fact, we're going to hopefully be online tomorrow with a sheltering project where we'll be putting the most vulnerable into hotel and motel rooms.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And it's all because of state funding, state and federal funding. So we're very pleased that we were able to derive that funding, but that information is also on the city website. So there's a lot there. I can't encourage folks to go on the city website. It's real simple, cityofvallejo.net, and the first thing you'll see is COVID-19. Click on that, and it'll take you to all the resources.
Wonderful. Well, I have to say that your staff is doing a tremendous job.
Well, thank you, Audrey.
I know that that City Hall is closed. And you know, when you call the number, it says that we check frequently. We'll get back to you at our earliest convenience, and we also respond to emails. But of course, you have a lot of those coming in. But I also found that, and I think that if people before they call would just go to the site, they might have a lot of their questions answered and ease up just a little bit, because
absolutely.
you guys are busy. I mean, I was, you know, even though we were scheduled to do this interview, I still had to confirm. And I have to tell you, I was shocked. I was shocked when I got a response back. So I was like, wow, okay, this is cool. so
Yeah,
so I know that your staff is working hard, and
yeah,
you
they are.
have priorities. The priority is the city and what the city needs, and so on and so forth. So I was also poking around. I found another link, biz.valeostrong.org. That is
Yes.
also a resource. Can you tell us a little about that site?
Well, that is very, very similar to what I was just talking about. There's a
Mhm.
lot of information on there about business resources. Again, the new stimulus package that will be coming forward, there'll be information on that. It's designed to help our smaller businesses here in town. We do have a lot of mom and pop operations, and those folks are the ones that I believe need the most help at this difficult time. And those are the resources that are available. Also on that site, they'll find the City of Vallejo site that I had just talked about, and they'll also see information about how to deal with the coronavirus. There's other things about stay-at-home orders, how to protect yourself. Um, but primarily this was designed for essential businesses and
Got it.
how they can help themselves.
All right.
So
Mhm.
the I'm very, very pleased with this. Uh, when all this happened, the city manager and I had a very lengthy conversation about messaging. Messaging to me is one of the most important things a community can do when we're in time of crisis. And you can never put out too much information. You can be faulted for not putting out enough, but I truly believe that more is better, and that whatever it is we can do as a city, excuse me, I can do as the mayor, it's so important that we get the message out to our community, because people want to know what's going on. They want the most factual and current information that's available. What I do on my Facebook page, I've got a city Facebook page. It's Vallejo Mayor Bob, and if you go to that page, I put on the tri-weekly county meetings. I break it down with all the points that are made by the speakers, and it's the chief health officer, the OES director, um, the housing director. So there's a lot of good information that gets posted. And I also put on the websites where people can go to get that information. So it isn't just coming from me, it's coming from uh, the county, it's coming from the state, and it's also coming from the federal government. So again, information, that's what it's all about, and that's what this webpage is all about.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think again, if folks just go online, that you have been working really hard to make information available to them in a timely manner, and it's all on that website. So again, guys, if you could just go to the websites first, and then if you don't
Yeah,
find what you need, maybe you want to get in touch with the mayor's office or city hall.
sure.
But other than that, there's so much information that's been put together to keep people informed.
Hmm.
So let's talk very quickly, if we can, about what's open and what's closed.
Oh gosh, there's a lot that is open. There's a lot of essential business out there. Obviously, um, retail food, supermarkets, those types of things are open. There's doctors' offices that are open. Some dentists' offices are open for emergency services. Veterinary services are open. Uh, Automotive repair is open. Um, and I know that on Mare Island, the Factory OS, which is a tiny home manufacturing company, it's open. Mare Island Dry Dock, which is a service that is used by the federal government, is open. There are, uh, oh gosh, what else is over there that's open right now? Um, the distillery that is over there, Savage and Cook, they've switched from making high-end whiskeys to making hand washing. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah, Absolutely. And, I want to give them a shout that they have been donating it to the people that need it the most. And those are like food prep folk, the folks that are working with the homeless population. And that's absolutely outstanding. And I know the city has purchased this hand washing sanitizer from them for our first responders. So it's really important that they're up and running. What else is open? The ferry's running, but that has
Where
virtually
you
no
go?
passengers. Yeah, there's nobody there. You can go to San Francisco, but when you get to San Francisco, what are you going to do? Our bus service is open, and what we're finding is that even though ridership is extremely down, the folks that are riding are generally the folks that always ride, that need to get to doctor's appointments, that rely on public transportation for moving back and forth around the community. I wish I
I
could
know
have
there's
thought that one
probably a
through
whole
better.
list.
But there is a list. And I'm
Yeah.
glad you said that, because in the Vallejo Times-Herald, which is our local newspaper, every day they post a list of what is open, what services are available, like what restaurants are open that have curbside service. I know that's really important. My wife and I use that all the time, and it's a great service to our community. So again, I would encourage folks to look at the Vallejo Times-Herald and see what's there. They can also go online and look at it there too.
So you brought up the bus service, and a lot of the buses are essential services to a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people in many cities. Are people, when they get on the bus, covering their nose and mouth, and are they trying to maintain distance? And what about the bus drivers? Are they protecting themselves as well? Because they see all kinds of people who might have been exposed to all kinds of things, even on a daily basis. But COVID is different.
Yeah, in fact, I spoke to our district director just the other day about that exact same issue, and our drivers are keeping themselves protected. And from what I understand, the majority of riders are wearing the face masks. Uh, Not many are wearing gloves, but many are wearing the face mask. So I would say that inherently that's a correct statement. They are all trying to do the right thing.
Okay, that's good to know. What's closed?
Recreation. Recreation is shut down. God, churches are closed, which is, for those folks that have been practicing over the religious holidays, that was difficult. Daycare centers for kids are closed. We're starting to see a lot of these, anytime schools, there's a huge one. And so what we're seeing is anytime there is a place where people can congregate, it's being closed down because they're not an essential business or an essential service. And that can be very difficult for a lot of people. There's a family up the street from us that has 3 children, and they're all school aged, and mom's doing homeschooling. They just happened to be walking by the other day, and I was out front in the garden and said, "Hey, how's it going?" And mom just kind of like had this blank look on her face. It's going good, Bob. It's going good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are having challenges because there are, some folks who are also trying to work from home as well
Yes.
to keep their job. And then they are taking care of the kids while they are going to school online and trying to keep that up. Meals have to be cooked. The house has got to be cleaned. The kids have to be entertained. Yeah. I mean, so there are challenges out there. And speaking
Correct.
of challenges, what support are you getting to maintain city services?
I think we're getting great support. Public safety obviously is running. Our dispatchers are there. We are still doing infrastructure work as needed. Our water department is obviously there to make sure that when you turn on the faucet, water comes out, clean water comes out. Obviously, our wastewater and sanitation, they're up and running. Garbage service is running. So we're doing okay in terms of services. The challenges right now for me are there are some folks that really, and you and I spoke about this early on, there are some folks that truly believe they are not going to get sick, that this doesn't apply to them. So they're going to go about doing whatever it is they do on a day-to-day basis, irrespective of what is being asked of them. And that to me is the biggest challenge right now. If we really want this pandemic to go away and flatten the curve, the only way we're going to be able to do it is if folks comply with what is being asked of them. And, that's huge. Another one of the big challenges for me right now, Audrey, is finances. We've taken a pretty substantial tax hit over April. We're down about 25%. That's a lot of money. There's an estimate that we are going to have a shortfall of over $12 million at the end of this fiscal year. That hurts. Fortunately, we do not have to dip into reserves. Fortunately, we do not have to furlough any of our employees. Fortunately, we're paying our bills and making payroll. But a lot of the added things that we would like to do, are going to be postponed, and until we are clear on our finances. I absolutely don't want us to do anything that would hurt us financially, that would cause us to have to declare a fiscal emergency. I want us to be above board with our finances. I don't want us to do anything foolish until we are well ahead of this curve.
All right. And I hope that people are, really supporting you and your efforts at City Hall. And I understand, you have so much on your plate. So I've got a couple of other questions for you.
Sure.
So I mentioned earlier that, people are probably calling City Hall. What are some of the most frequently asked questions when they call?
When is this going to be over? Or there are people saying, I was just at such and such store and they weren't social distancing their customers. Is the water clean? Can we drink the water? We've heard that one a bunch of times. Our water is absolutely, it is tested over 100 times a day.
Who knew?
So,
wow.
Yeah. So that being said, we know it's good.
Okay.
What other questions do we get? Oh, essential services. Are we going to be able to patch a hole in the street? Will we be able to fix something that needs fixing? We get those kind of questions. And when are you going to open City Hall back up? But you get a response within, if not immediately, within a couple hours.
Yeah, I know. I know. I can tell you that works. Because again, I did not expect to get a response for like maybe a day or so, and boom, wow, that was really cool. So that just means again that your team is working really hard. Let me ask you about, I've got about 2 more minutes left. Testing. Sure. Everybody wants to know about testing.
Well, we are not testing the public. What we are doing, however, is we are testing our first responders and essential workers. We just did a large test in conjunction with the county health department at the fairgrounds, and they did over 2,800 tests. And now the testing site is going to be moved to Mid-County up in Fairfield. So we'll be testing up there. I'm asking that if we could test all our first responders, whether they are symptomatic or asymptomatic. To me, it's really important so that these folks know when they go home at night that they're not a carrier. So it's very important to me that we do that. It's just the availability of test kits that's kind of difficult.
Right. I understand that that's happening all over the United States.
Yes, it is.
And one thing is for sure, if your essential providers, your healthcare providers, the police, the fire department, the bus drivers, anybody who's on the front line of providing a service, a necessary service, is sick or gets sick, they can no longer provide that service.
That's correct. And worse yet, what would happen if they spread the virus to fellow coworkers?
Exactly.
Then we have a real difficult situation ahead of us.
One last question for you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
What can people do to support the city's efforts?
Do what they're being asked, and please follow the rules that are set forth by the county health department, the state, and CDC. It's really important, especially now that we're seeing the curve starting to flatten, that if they can go along, and I know how hard it is, but if they can go along with this for another few weeks, hopefully we'll be able to reopen. We're making plans to reopen now, but in phases. And if folks could be patient and just go along with it for another few weeks, we may be a whole lot better off than we are right now. I just don't want to see a second wave of this come back and hit us again, and then we have got to go back into this all over. That would be just crazy for all of us.
Right.
I think people just go nuts.
Yeah, I know, but it's for the good of everyone.
It is, and that's my ask. Please be patient. Please follow the rules. Social distancing, wear the mask, wash your hands. All
right. Been talking to Mayor Bob Sampayan and Mayor of the City of Vallejo. And again, everyone, we're all in this together in more ways than you know. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I know that you have a lot to do, and I just thank you so much for your time. Look forward to speaking with you again real soon.
Thank you so much, Audrey. It's truly a pleasure. Thank you for what you're doing. You're getting the info out, and that's what we ask our media to do. Get the info out.